Welcome to Nasdaq Trade Talks. I'm Jill Malandrino, Global Markets Reporter at Nasdaq. Joining us for this segment, we have Tim McCourt, Global Head of Equity Index and Alternative Investment Products at CME Group. Tim, it's great to see you as always. Welcome back to Trade Talks.
Yeah, thanks, Jill. Thanks for having me.
All right, we have an important milestone to discuss, but let's get some background first. Tell us about Micro E-mini Equity Index Futures and Options.
Absolutely. Micro E-mini Equity Index Futures and Options at CME Group were launched in May of 2019 on the futures side, and just a little over a year ago on the options side. And what's interesting is they're smaller sized, right-sized contracts of their older sibling, the classic iconic E-minis. They're 1/10 the size, making them a more approachable right-sized contract for all types of traders, whether you're an institution or an active individual trader. It's just a better sized contract for you, giving you that precision. As the index prices continue to rise, this is a great way to use all the benefits of futures, but in a smaller size contract.
So you mentioned it's appropriate for all types of investors. What will these contracts allow investors to do?
So if you think about an investment manager, for example, that may be allocating inflows into the various accounts they manage, they used to have to wait for $200,000 to be accumulated to allocate one E-mini across the accounts. Now they could do a $20,000, 1/10 of that. They could do a little bit of Nasdaq in this account, a little bit of S&P, a little bit of Russell. So they don't need to let that money accumulate as much, and they could allocate more precisely, dollar for dollar, if you think about the way that the dollars are coming in that they need to manage. And if you're an active individual trader, you can now scale up or down throughout the day. So if you think about it, before, maybe you're trading some ETFs or trading some single stocks, and maybe you had to get out of those to trade one future because that contract was so large. Now you can trade micros throughout the day alongside your options, ETFs, and single stocks. It's no longer an either or choice. It now makes it easier to use all the tools available for managing equity index exposure.
And Micro E-mini Equity Index Futures and Options surpassed 1 billion contracts traded. I mean, Tim, that in such a short time is quite incredible. What's the significance of that?
I mean, it's amazing, right? I mean, there's no other way to talk about it. I mean, Joe, we were back on the launch in May of 2019. We were at MarketSite celebrating the launch. And I don't think any of us thought we'd be trading more than 1 billion in a little over 2.5 years. And that's enormous. What's also interesting to note is when you look at the breakdown by the indices, that's 1 billion across all 4 major micro E-mini contracts. But Nasdaq's certainly doing about 415 million in its own right. And what's even interesting is since February of this year, the micro Nasdaq is out trading micro S&P. So that dynamic has even changed, really reinforcing that index choice matters. So having the 4 major indices represented in the micro E-mini contracts for futures and options really just gives folks more choice, an easier way to access the market, an easier way to hedge and be more precise when they're trying to trade the global equity index markets.
All right, Tim, congrats on the milestone and thanks for joining us on Trade Talks. I'm Jill Malandrino, Global Markets Reporter at Nasdaq.